Hello, fellow queer people that live in my phone, and straight people too. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Tonight, I'm showcasing my original 1978 Space Invaders arcade machine. This one from Midway. Let me show you its features. Oh, yes, very cute. Oh, water damage. Drilled out locks. Functioning buttons that don't do anything, so non-functioning. High voltage. A switching mode power supply that I have horribly botched together, but also functions. I didn't have the right gauge wire. But that's okay, because it does kind of work. Although right now I'm not currently using it, as I am using the original power supply. The board is not fully seated in there correctly, because I have pulled it out and put it back in about 6 times now, and that's getting really old. This was what it does when it powers on. If I can get my thing to focus. Oh, let's see. Noise. Nothing but noise. Interesting. According to what I've read online, this problem is most likely caused by a bad reset circuit. Now, this issue usually stems from the power supply. However, in this case, we are using the brand new switching power supply, which, hilariously, I have read online, might also be causing the issue, where the CPU reset pin is not being adequately drawn low, or drawn high in this case. I'm going to go to the schematics and show you how I'm going to try and test this and fix it, using, I think, that power connector. But we'll see. Okay, so here we are. We're looking at the Intel 8080. This is the main CPU on the Space Invaders board. Now, currently what I think is going on is the reset circuit is not working. Previously, I've attempted to short pin 12 to pin 2, which is ground. It is my understanding, and what I've seen online, is that the reset pin is supposed to be low by default, and by putting it to ground, it actually goes high. However, when I was reaching my head inside of the machine to do this myself, effectively using a piece of wire as a jumper, you know, I didn't have any warm and fuzzies, and it wasn't really working. So instead, I'm going to try jumping what is actually much easier, or so it would seem. And instead, we follow the trace back. Pin 12 goes like here, down to there. There's a connection over here. Looks like address bus. So we can try 16, if I can find that. Or alternatively, all the way over here. Power connector? Yeah, okay, I buy that. To pin 10. Now we can try figuring out which pin is 10, because pin 1 and 2, it seems, should be 5 volts. 3 and 4, 12, 5, negative 5. 6 is 15 volts. That's a weird one. I haven't seen that. Essentially, by trying to verify which voltages we have here, and then kind of counting down here, I can just bridge from the reset to ground. That is the idea, and that is what I'm going to attempt to do. Please do not judge me, because the board is horribly laying at an angle and still inside the thing. I do not have a test bench. I do not have a test equipment. I have a multimeter and myself. I've tested this front pin, or this front connector, and well, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It seems really tight, and someone's replaced it. So that's good, I guess. I thought perhaps that the voltages I wanted to test might have been on the backside. I can't seem to find them. Mostly I can't seem to find at 15 volts, which I think probably comes unfiltered from the transformer itself, because the power supply I have does not put out 15 volts at all. So I'm going to go back to the schematics and see
What the fuck I'm doing wrong?
Now, okay, hear me out. These two pins on that connector on the backside were connected, as is shown here, and both were 5 volts. And the pin below it, those two were 12 volts. And the one was negative 5. However, plus 15 volts, this one, well, I didn't have negative or plus 15. I had nothing. Where's this 15 volts come from? I wonder. Oh, okay. Pin 1 and 2, 5 volts, yeah. 3 and 4, 12 volts. 5, negative 5 volts. 6. Well, 6 down here on this 11-pin connector says it's supposed to be the reset line. And if that isn't working, that could be the issue. But on this one, it says 6 should be 15. There's also, okay, here we go, 8 and 9. 8 and 9 should be connected. So, does that make sense? 8 and 9 to speaker? No. Okay. 8 and 9 should go to ground, so I'm not looking at the right thing. It's great. Okay. Well, that solved no problems. Oh, okay, here we go. This is the daughter board schematic, as you can tell because it says right up here. And here we have an 8 and a 9 that says speaker. A 6, which is power on reset again. Okay. Cool. So 6 goes from the power on reset to from here, right? Okay, so this is coming from the power supply somehow. This makes my brain hurt. Okay. But where's this 15 volts coming from? There's a 16.5 coming from here. I'm not reaching my hand next to the main power supply, the transformer. That's dumb. There's a 12 volt, another 16.5. But what makes 15? Why is this schematic saying there should be 15 volts here on pin 6, which some places are labeling as the power on reset? Unless we're talking about over here where it's 16, which I'm not going to acknowledge because that doesn't confirm to what I'm trying to think of. So 6 right here, where the reset line says the wire is orange, I'm going to A, go count the pins, and B, see where the orange wire is, and try and trace it back in some meaningful capacity.
18 pins, 10 pins, 7 pins. Okay, I imagine this is probably the 72 pin deal.
Well, this is very stupid. So this 11-pin connector refers to this connector, which I counted the pins as 10. Well, there is a spot on the connector itself that is unpopulated, thus making the connector 11 pins. Aha. So if we count down from the top pin here, there are 6 on this side, which correlate, well, to none of these, kind of. The second pin down we see is brown-white, which it is this pin right here, followed by brown-red. However, these are pin 2 and 3, as in the topmost pins right here. That is stupid. 4, 5, yellow, green, white, which makes our reset pin this orange wire right here in my hands. And all I need to do to, well, check to see if this is working, because it's supposed to be our reset line, is connect it to ground. Somewhere. Somewhere. I'll find somewhere. Okay, hear me out. I'm on this wonderful website here. It's called, whatever this says, brintradio.com, Space Invaders. Alright, I pulled a Space Invaders pinout guide. And what it has here is the 11 pin and the 8 pin connector. So, power on reset, I was correct, is pin 6 of the connector on there. The orange pin. And the closest ground is pin 1 of the 8 pin connector. So, going back to this thing right here, the pink wire on the 8 pin connector should be ground. So, if I connect 6 to 1, then I will have grounded the power on reset, and hopefully the game will start. Let's see.
Well, in a twisted, cruel way, I couldn't find the actual pink wire. So instead, what I'm going to do is, I'm just gonna full send. I've got yellow right here, or I got orange, which should be the reset, and I have a perfectly good ground right there. Okay. Reach up, turn it on. Okay, power is applied. Ground. And let's see if that did anything. The answer is resounding no. It did nothing. Great.
Well, this concludes this video. I was unable to fix the machine at this moment in time. However, I have plans. Such as, this right here is that big long connector, which I've been calling the 72 pin connector because that's, I don't know, I saw it somewhere. It might actually not be, but if it says it has 36 pins, 36 plus 36 is 72, so good enough. And we see right here, there is a pin 1 to pin 76, and then they use letters on the other side. Well, if we go back to this one, the reset pin should be pin 16 on that connector. So, my plan is I'm going to verify that when everything is seated, I have continuity from pin 12 on the CPU all the way to pin 16 on the connector, and that'll verify if the trace is okay. And then I guess I will go and see if I have continuity from 16 to pin 6, the yellow one, which would see if the CPU is talking to that power on reset pin. And if that's not the answer, I'm going to cry. But that means we're probably going to have to be looking, I guess, at inputs into the CPU to see if if it's getting like a clock signal or some sort of stuff like that. Because right now the CPU is it's doing nothing. And if the reset signal isn't doing anything, that means the CPU itself is not doing anything. Previously, I should have said this in the beginning. Maybe I'll put this in the beginning. No, you can yell at me. Previously, I tested the top of the pins on the CPU through the bottom of the socket on the other side of the board for continuity. So at the very least, the CPU itself is making a good connection to its socket and to the traces on the other side of the board. So there's that. And I reseated it and cleaned up the legs and all that jazz. So that's great. Still not working. Yay. See you next time.